Hello everybody. I'm walking through the woods. If you don't take time to walk through the woods every now and then, you're missing out. Especially when it rains. I don't care about lightning. Fuck lightning. So here we are. How you doing? I hope you guys have checked out my recent podcast. Oh, look at that owl. Ooh, is that an owl or a hawk? I don't know, but it's great. Look, man, the woods, when it rains, is the best time to catch wildlife. Because they all go scurrying in here, and you can scare them out of their holes and see them. Foxes, rabbits, they all take shelter in the woods. Whoop! I hope you guys are having fun. My podcast is about the spiritual connection between politics and what's going on spiritually. Because I think that's a very, very underserviced market. A lot of people have a lot of spiritual conceptions and they have a lot of thoughts on the matter. And it's just not doing it for me. So I've got to interject, right? If you're not paying attention to Laura Loomer right now, I think you're missing out. Because that is the real revelation of how politics relates to spirituality. All the corporations have lined up to try and deny Laura Loomer service of any kind, as well as the political elites. They're on the same page, they're on the same agenda. There's no difference between the two. They're working towards the same ends with the same goal, using the same money. They all get the same tax breaks. It's all the same shit. It's all coming from coercion. If you think that capitalism has anything to do with entities like Comcast, you're fucking wrong. All right? If you think capitalism has anything to do with the five main corporate media entities, you're wrong. Right? Listen, the FCC has made it impossible for anybody else to access those markets. They are purely and wholly owned and contained by these entities. And if you don't toe the line within these entities, the financial sector, which is purely owned and contained by the government, will come down on you. It's not just one group of people. Here we got this ladder here. A bunch of kids out here tried to build a fort, but the wood they were using was substandard, and the trees they tried to attach themselves to all failed, and a lot of it has to do with this. You see this? This is the creep. This is the ground cover, right? This right here, these vines will destroy your trees, will destroy everything. And I think this is a good symbolic representation of what we're dealing with when you talk about the permissive access of public schooling to our children's minds. Look at it. It's everywhere. Doesn't matter how many trails you make, it's working while you're not. Because it benefits even while you sleep. That's the creep we're dealing with, right? So you see all of this fucking vinage that comes around and destroys the trees that don't play ball, and nothing is more emblematic of the government media complex we have now. It can creep while you sleep. It creeps while you sleep. Now, narrative is very important to this, right? Because the narrative here with all these vines is that if the vines get attacked, if the vines are taken down, right? The new vines that grow in the place can eat off of the vines that have been taken down. There's really no way of winning. Eventually, these vines, which are a very much invasive species to this area, will take over. They enjoy the climate. And as long as they have that one element that allows them to prosper, they'll continue unabated. And the same thing is very true of statism. Statism requires very little maintenance. So, that's how it goes. I got a person requesting to join. Welcome, D. Thames. D. Thames? If you request to join, I'll take you on. Let's get it going.
Yeah, bro.
How's it going, buddy?
I'm good than you, man.
All right. So, what do you think? Do you think statism requires more than just a few basic elements for it to thrive?
Yes, I think so.
Like what basic elements do you see as necessary for statism to continue thriving?
Weed.
Weed? I don't know, man. Weed is not a part of it because, I mean, they've illegalized it for so long, but people keep running back to statism if there's weed or if there isn't.
Yeah, you're right. What are you doing right there, man?
I'm just taking a walk in the woods. When it rains outside, I'm telling you, it's the best time to take a walk in the woods because you get
Are,
a little bit of shelter
are you the
and you
slender?
also,
You are the
what's
slender
that?
slender man.
What do you mean?
Slender man.
Oh, you want me to keep moving?
You
You like
look like
this? Look.
slender man. The man of the woods.
Oh yeah, man. I love the woods. I've always loved the woods.
Yeah, so we see you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. So yeah, getting back to what I was saying. If you're able to remove the climatological advantage for statism, it will die. But how much else are you going to take along with it? And I think a lot of libertarians aren't prepared for that alternative. Because if you can remove the climate that makes statism possible, you also remove the lives of millions of people. And I don't know if that's something you want. You've got to create a biome that you can protect. And right now, there's no enzymatic, there's no chemical defense for all of this fucking vinage. There's none of it. So if you're a tree living in the woods surrounded by statists, you will be consumed. Eventually, it'll go away. All the free thought will be consumed by vines, and the vines will keep spreading. So, what's the enzyme that we need to have to defend ourselves? And I think a lot of that has to do with spirituality. If you have the spiritual capability of producing these enzymes that allow you to kill the statists from sucking off of you, for instance, let's talk about the spiritual nature of um, monetization. Let's talk about the spiritual nature of how to create currency inflows without using the state, right? And if you notice, the only things that thrive in statism, when statism is a constant ground cover, is all of these little scrub brush, thorny weeds, right? And you could probably equate that to criminals, criminals and statists, right? Statist ground cover, criminal enterprises growing up out of it. And you'll find that the criminals really do appreciate the statism because it's so blind, it's so ever present, it's so interpenetrating, right? So I'm out here trying to make a bunch of analogies as you're at home trying to figure out what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place. If you take a look in your woods, you'll see 1,000 metaphors for what's going on because we're not so different from nature. I think a lot of people give the fact that people exist as something different from animals, something different from plants, too much credit. The underlying principles are the same. And those principles are accessed through a deeper understanding of spirituality, right? I talk about principles and statists talk about strategy. That, that's the difference. Strategy is something that can change, something that is dependent upon other factors. Principles are dependent upon nothing else. All right? So let's focus on that. What are the principles that we can glean from a more spiritual life? And I don't have all the answers. I could tell you places to go. If you look at the Greek Kabbalah, that's something very interesting. That's something I'm getting into. You've got a lot of principles stacked up, one on top of the other. Things that look promising for the prospects of liberty. But if all you do is focus on the current political situation, you'll never get to the point where you can understand the underlying principles behind it. And a lot of people focus entirely on current events, what is popular, what is politic. And they end up losing the goal, and they end up joining the ground cover. We don't need more ground cover. I'm sick of the ground cover. I guarantee you, all of these species of ground cover have different goals, different strategies in mind. And those different strategies all produce the same result. You have to have principles over strategy. And I don't think we've reached that point yet as a species. Once you bring those principles to light, once you start to make those principles shine through as individuals, not as collectives, then it starts to make defense more probable, more possible. But you have to get to work. You have to learn about yourself on a deeper level. You have to know your weaknesses. You have to know your strengths. You have to, right? You have to know environmental factors. Now, my phone is acting up. It doesn't want to stay on, but I would encourage you again to look at Laura Loomer. It's going to be hard to find her. She's not on social media. You have to look elsewhere to get to her posts. But it's obvious. The entire establishment has said, this person is not fit to run. She is looking to win in the district that she's in. I guarantee you they'd rather waste money on a bullet and take the consequences as opposed to looking like this in the end, right? They don't care. If you as an individual do not have the ability to manipulate your principles into action, right? If you're more concerned with the strategy of how to win, you won't ever get there. You have to be around the bend. Winning and losing is a false dichotomy. The only reason it makes a difference is because everyone is ingrained into the ground cover, right? The massive corporate structures that have some sort of defense against the status ground cover are the ones that win. And corporation is a word that means group. So the grouping of how you decide to defend yourself is more important. than what your individual strategy is. These are layers. All right, Lucky Jim. I like that response, and I want you as a guest on my podcast. And I want you to look up Anarchy Ball Podcast on Anchor.fm so you can see what I'm trying to say. I'm looking for that kind of alchemy, right? These fucking statheists, there is no way away from statism if you're an atheist. I don't give a fuck if you say you're a statist or you say you're an atheist and an anarchist. There has to be something deeper there. Because if all you're doing is looking at the gods of this earth, like Hermes Trismegistus said, gods of this earth are of man. Gods of the sky are eternal. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that. All right? There's a deeper underlying principle here. And a lot of people don't get it unless they have a basis in spirituality. Statheism is atheism. I don't give a fuck if you call yourself an ANCAP. You're probably susceptible to statism. If you look at the Libertarian Party, 99% of them are atheists. Why? Because they think this is the way things are done. It's not. There are underlying principles. You have to understand those to actually fight the system. Anarchists within the Libertarian Party who claim to be atheists are nothing more than slightly more evolved statists. And they want that statist solution because they think the alternative is chaos, or they think the alternative is irrelevance. That's not the way things work. You got it, Lucky Jim. Sorry about that. I'll try to do my best to get this video out on other formats so that I don't appear quite so glitchy. And hopefully you can watch it again, but I'm signing off right now. Take it easy. I will get back to you later.